Showmo Data, and this is Built to Trust. Today we are talking about calm status, numbers over adjectives, updates that actually unlock help instead of creating noise. This episode is for teams that build in the real world: hardware, software, controls, robotics, integration labs, and manufacturing lines. You will hear a weekly operating model that scales from a single team to a large roll-up. You will hear how to highlight need help areas and route escalations quickly. You will hear how program management and systems engineering report in ways that change as you move from early development into production. The goal is simple: make status the engine that unblocks people and lands real work on time. Here is how we will move through the episode. First, why calm status matters and where status goes wrong. Second, the weekly shape of a great update for every stream. Third, how to roll that up across a large organization without losing the signal. Fourth, how to write need help items that cause decisions and action. Fifth, the small set of numbers that matter by discipline. Sixth, how systems engineering reporting changes by phase. Seventh, how program management reporting changes by phase. Eighth, weekly formats for each phase from concept to production. Ninth, how to brief executives in 5 minutes and get decisions. 10th, common anti-patterns and clean fixes. 11th, an action kit with templates you can copy into Monday. 12th, remote and hybrid nuances. Then we will land the episode. Let's start with why calm status beats noise. You have seen the noise version: watermelon dashboards that look green on the outside and red inside, slides full of words like on track and at risk with no numbers to anchor them, risks that show up only when they have already turned into issues, surprises that break trust on Fridays, meetings where people talk for an hour and no decision gets made. The cost is not the hour. The cost is the week after, when people wait and wonder. Calm status fixes this with a few shapes: short, falsifiable facts, a single health number that moves each week, a single risk trend with a trigger and an owner, a clear need help section that contains option asks, concrete pass gates for the next milestone, the same order every time so readers do not waste energy decoding format. When updates look like this, status stops trying to impress and starts to unlock help. Now the weekly shape for every stream: hardware, firmware and software, controls and robotics, test, operations and manufacturing. Use one page per stream. Use the same order every week. Section 1, moved. 2 to 4 facts and numbers, not adjectives. Tell me what changed in the system. P99, latency dropped from 230 to 185 milliseconds after index change. Milled bracket revision B tolerance CPK 1.67 across 25 parts. Pose drift less than 2 centimeters over 30 minutes after filter tuning. HIL scenario IDs 103 through 111. 8 passed, 1 failed on bus flap. Fix is queued and scheduled for retest Tuesday. First pass yield on line 2 is 92%. Target is 95%. Top defect is connector miscrimp. Section 2, blocked. 1 line per blocker: owner, the blocker itself, the number of days stuck, the proposed next step. Example: owner, Priya, blocker, supplier X, late by 8 days on harness batch. Days stuck. 4. Proposed next step: switch to alternate supplier Y for 50 units. Re-qualification steps attached. Decision needed by Wednesday. Section 3, need help. This is the escalation section. Each line is a decision card. Decision needed: options A, B, C, with the impact on scope, date, spec, and safety. Constraint to be respected, such as freeze window or airworthiness or lab time, approver and deadline, and where the decision will live afterward. This section is where leadership earns its keep. You do not want vague asks like need more resources. You want optioned asks. For example, decision needed: late interface change from partner will miss this cycle. Option A, land Thin with existing interface and defer feature B 1 week. Option B, go around and deliver everything next week with risk of overlap to flight test. Option C, add 2 engineers to split track but violate freeze window. Constraint, demo freeze starts Thursday at noon Pacific. Approver, platform lead. Deadline, Wednesday 11 a.m. Decision will live in the decision log entry DL259. Section 4, one number, the single health metric the stream is driving this cycle. For software, this might be P95 latency or error rate. For hardware, this might be CPK on a critical dimension or fatigue pass rate. For robotics, this might be loop jitter or pose error. For OPs, this might be first pass yield or tact adherence. Name the target and the current value. One line. Section 5, one risk trend. Name one risk and say whether the trend is up or down. Name the trigger that turns it into an issue. Name the owner and a date for next review. Example, risk. Vendor SDK hang under jitter. Trend up, trigger. 3 hangs before Wednesday noon. Owner, prior, review. Wednesday stand. Section 6, next milestone and pass gates. Write the milestone name and date, then write the pass gates using the pattern we use across the show. Done when X measured by Y, observed in Z. Example, done when P99 latency stays under 200 milliseconds for a 12-hour run with 0 critical alerts, measured by health panels. Observed in Ops View, COR, done when HIL scenarios 112 through 115 pass, with loop, stability, and band and time-based correlation within tolerance. Observed in rig dashboard and screenshots posted in the evidence pack. Keep this page short. Keep it in the same order. Keep the words calm. People should read it in less than 2 minutes and know what moved, where we are blocked, where we need help, and what next week is for. Let's talk about the roll-up for a large organization. Many teams, many subsystems, one program, one executive staff. You can scale the same shapes if you keep 2 rules. Do not invent new metrics at the higher level, and only carry up the need, help items that truly need a higher decider. Here is the weekly flow for a big roll-up. Monday by 9 a.m. local time. Streams post their one-page status. Monday 1 p.m. Subsystem owners curate. They copy the one number and the one risk trend from each stream. They merge need help items where the same decision impacts multiple teams. They do not rewrite facts. Tuesday 10 a.m. The program roll-up is prepared. It has the same sections, moved, blocked, need help. One number per pillar, one risk trend per pillar. Milestones due this week with pass gates. Tuesday 3 p.m. The executive brief draft is posted. It is one page with decision cards and a short buffer view. Wednesday morning. The decision close meeting happens, and only decisions are made in that meeting. Friday afternoon. A truth recap goes to all hands. 2 truths and 1 risk per pillar. Dates and pass gates for next week. This cadence makes status asynchronous first. Meetings exist for decisions. Aggregation rules matter. Summarize only where units make sense. If 2 teams report the same metric in the same units, you can sum or average as appropriate. Do not create a new score at roll-up. Carry up need. Help items with the approver named. If a stream wants help but the decider is at their level, send them back. Avoid status theater. Keep the roll-up small. 1 page per subsystem. 1 page for the whole program. 1 page for executives. Now how to write need help and escalations that actually unblock. The help card is 3 lines. 1. Decision needed with options and impact trade. 2. Constraint. Freeze window. Safety limit. Partner dependency. 3. Owner and approver and deadline, and link to where the decision will live. You can add a 4th line for evidence if the decider needs to see a chart or a run, but keep the body short. Here are 3 examples across disciplines. Hardware example. Decision needed. Anodized supplier capacity is short by 20% for the next 6 weeks. Option A, split volume across supplier Y and qualify this week. Option B, Change coding spec to color ZUGD that supplier X can meet in-house. Option C. Slip 2 weeks and pull forward test work to fill the gap. Impact. Option A. Carries a small qualification risk and 1 week of extra inspection. Option B. Changes appearance and requires customer sign-off. Option C. Moves the date. Constraint. DVT samples are due in 3 weeks. Approver. Hardware head. Deadline. Thursday 10 a.m. Decision will live in the decision log entry. DL265. Software example. Decision needed. Partner API quota enforced starting Monday. Option A. Reduce scope to land thin with batch ingest and defer live updates by 2 weeks. Option B. Prioritize caching layer now and shift 2 engineers from feature C. Option C. Keep scope but accept a risk of elevated error rate and set stop loss trigger. Impact. Option A. Reduces scope. Option B. Moves feature C. Option C. Risks error budget. Constraint. Customer demo freeze begins Thursday noon. Approver. Platform lead. Deadline. Tuesday 2 p.m. Decision will live in DL266 with change note CN19. Robotics example. Decision needed. Safety interlock coverage at 88% with 2 stations missing. Redundancy. Option A. Add temporary administrative control and limit operating speed for 2 weeks. Option B. Slip the ramp and install hardware interlocks now. Option C. Keep speed and add a test guard with a tripwire. Impact. Option A. Limits testing velocity. Option B. Moves the date. Option C carries a residual risk that requires a safety officer sign-off. Constraint. Run at reduced speed. Violates marketing demo goals. Approver. Chief Engineer and Safety. Deadline. Wednesday noon. Decision will live in DL267. Escalations travel a clear ladder. Driver. Subsystem lead. Program plus systems engineering plus program management. Then executive. The ladder is written on the wall and in the wiki. The service level for a decision is 48 hours unless the help card specifies a faster timer. If a decision cannot be made, the approver posts a deferral with the new deadline and why. All decisions land in a decision log entry with 5 lines. What we chose, when, who decided, options we considered, why we chose this one. This avoids refighting old battles. Now the small set of numbers that matter by discipline. These are examples. You will pick the ones that tell the truth in your domain. But keep the list short. A single number per stream is the rule. Hardware. First pass yield. Yield ladder by station if you are in production. CPK on key dimensions for critical to quality features. Cycle time per station. Scrap rate. Supplier on time delivery. Reliability growth slope. Pass rate in EVTDV, TPVT. If you are in EVT, show the verification closeout percentage at the lowest level. If you are in DVT, show defect aging burndown. Software and firmware, P95 and P99 latency, error rate and retry rate, crash-free sessions, change fail rate, mean time to detect and mean time to recover. Soak pass for 12 hours. Defect age. If you ship often, add change. Note throughput and rollback success rate. Controls and robotics. Loop jitter and stability band. Pose error over time. End-to-end command latency. Fault recovery time. Safety interlock coverage. If you are running HIL, add time-based correlation tolerance, integration and test. Scenario pass rate. Incident count by severity, time to detect, time to mitigate, golden log parity at seams, HIL rig utilization, queue of blocked scenarios with owner and date, operations and manufacturing, throughput versus tact, first pass yield, top 3 defects per million opportunities, bottleneck utilization, change node, cycle time, supplier PPM and on-time delivery. Learning curve slope for new stations, deviation count and burndown. Now systems engineering reporting and how it shifts by phase. Systems engineering always carries three things forward: two-way traceability from requirements to test cases to evidence, interface truth, which means interface control documents and contract tests and any diffs by version, risk posture, which means a short list of top risks with owners, triggers, and dates. Around that core, the focus changes with the phase. In concept and feasibility, systems engineering reports the top 10 risks with owners and a time to learn for each. It outlines requirement candidates with verification methods drafted. It lists interface assumptions and flags any that need early experiments. The point is to map unknowns and to stage learning. In EVT, systems engineering reports verification at the lowest feasible level. The requirement to verification matrix shows which method you will use. Test, analysis, inspection, demonstration. It shows the lowest level where you will verify. Component, bench, software in loop, HIL. It shows the scenario library and coverage percentage and which cases failed versus blocked. It carries interface control, document diffs as a small table and contract test results that prove the seam behaviors. In DVT, systems engineering reports evidence packs linked for each requirement. It shows defect escape rate trending down. It shows SOAK results by seam and correlation error between SIM and HIL and field. It shows hazard log changes and verified mitigations. It is the curator of truth. 2 sentences per requirement if you can. Link the evidence where work lives. Do not paste images into a slide that dies. In PVT and RAMP, systems engineering shifts to production metrics, critical to quality features with CPK, yield ladders by station, PPAP or FAI status, depending on your industry. Change control velocity with audit trail. Frozen interface control documents and deviation. Count with burn down. Early field returns if applicable and containment actions. The tone is still calm. The artifacts are heavier because airworthiness and compliance require them, but the shape is the same. Numbers over adjectives, links to evidence, triggers and owners. Now, program management reporting and how it shifts by phase. Program management always reports promise kept with scope integrity. It always carries a view of critical path and buffer burn. It always reports estimate at complete versus plan. It always reports decision latency because slow decisions sync programs. Around that core, the focus changes. In early development, program management emphasizes milestone risk burn down. Time to learn, staffing by skill, dependency maps. The weekly report shows how quickly unknowns are retiring and whether the team can learn before dates force choices. In EVT and DVT, program management emphasizes interface critical paths, rework rate, defect aging, and lab and rig utilization. It makes sure test rigs are scheduled as a first-class resource. It exposes any lab conflicts a week ahead and routes them in the need help section. In PVT and ramp and production, program management emphasizes first pass yield and yield ladders, change note throughput, engineering change, order cycle time, supplier on time delivery and parts per million, capacity versus TOCT, and cost deltas relative to plan. It treats deviations and line stops as decisions, not shame. It ensures containment and corrective actions are visible and bounded by dates and owners. Next, phase-specific weekly formats. Here is how the weekly page should look in each phase. Concept and prototype weeks. Lead with outcome hypotheses and the M0 discovery and M1 de-risk experiments. Show probability buckets for key options and how they change this week. List the top 5 unknowns and the time to learn for each. The one number is often the count of unknowns retired or the confidence on a key hypothesis. The risk trend is the largest unknown that moved up or down. EVT weeks. Lead with verification at the lowest level. Show scenario coverage growth. Show seam soaks and interface diffs by version. The one number is often coverage percentage or pass rate on a critical seam. The risk trend is often an interface risk with a clear trigger. DVT weeks lead with requirement evidence, close out percentage, and defect aging burn down. The one number is often evidence closed this week or defects older than a threshold. The risk trend could be a stubborn defect class or a reliability slope below target. PVT and production weeks lead with first pass yield and the yield ladder. Show critical to quality CPK, show change velocity and deviation closures. The one number is often first pass yield or bottleneck hours of buffer. The risk trend might be a supplier quality risk with a trigger and a containment plan. Now the executive brief that lands decisions in 5 minutes. 1 page. Same order every week. First, this week's landings and facts. No adjectives. Second, red items only if action is needed. Each red item is a decision card with options and impact on scope and date and spec and safety. Third, 3 choices per decision laid out in a small trade grid. Fourth, critical path and buffer and numbers. Fifth, next week's passes and go and no-go gates. Sixth, links to evidence, dashboards, HIL runs, change notes, decision log entries. The executive brief is not a show, it is a menu of decisions. If no decision is needed, say so and return time to the calendar. Anti-patterns and clean fixes. Watermelon decks are common. They die when you replace color with numbers and screenshots. Vague risks are common. Fix them by naming the risk, the trigger, the owner, and the date. Status meetings for status are common. Fix them by writing first and meeting to decide. Surprise escalations are common. Fix them by publishing the escalation ladder, the decision service level, and the decision log link where outcomes live. Vague asks are common. Fix them by forcing optioned asks with a trade grid. Another anti-pattern is performing progress. Long updates that change nothing. Cure that by asking one question at the end of a review. What will be different on Monday because of this update? If the answer is nothing, do not hold the meeting again. Now the action kit. This is what you can copy into your team today. Weekly stream template. Paste this block into your tool. Moved. Fact 1. Fact 2. Blocked. Item name. Owner, blocker, days stuck. Next step. Need help. Decision and options. ABC with impact, approver, deadline. Link to decision log. 1 number, metric name. Target, current. 1 risk trend, risk name. Trend up or down. Trigger, owner, date. Next milestone and pass gates. Done when X measured by Y, observed in Z. Subsystem roll-up sheet. Built a simple sheet that auto-pulls the 1 number, the risk trend, and open help cards from each stream. It lists pillars down the rows and shows this week's numbers and any decision cards. It flags red only when a decision is required. Decision card, 3 lines plus a link, decision needed with options and impact. Constraint, approver and deadline with link. No slides required. A small image of the relevant dashboard or the HIL screenshot is enough. Escalation ladder, publish a graphic or a list. Row 1 is driver, row 2 is subsystem lead, row 3 is program and systems engineering and program management, row 4 is executive, publish the 48-hour service level for decisions. Teach people to attach the decision log link in the follow-up. Phase switcher, in your status tool, add a simple checkbox or drop-down for phase. Concept, EVT, DVT, PVT, production. Toggle which systems, engineering, or program management sections show in the weekly page based on phase. This avoids bloat and keeps focus. Color and emoji hygiene. Use a red flag only when a decision is required. Use a brick to indicate a blocker. Use a green check for pass and a red cross for fail. Use a pause to mark a freeze window. Do not color code feelings, color code work. Remote and hybrid nuances. Make status asynchronous first. Set the rule that stream updates post by 9 a.m. local time. Questions go in threads. Decisions are logged by 5 p.m. in the decision log with 5 lines. Evidence beats live demos. use short screen captures, use HIL rig snapshots, auto-link the run ID in the update. Time zone handoffs need a baton owner. At any given time, one person owns the need help item and knows the next step. A baton emoji next to their name works fine. If you need to meet live, record, and post the decision log link right after. Do not trap decisions in meeting videos. Let me give you a few short stories where this operating model changed outcomes. A robotics group had 6 teams sending long updates. Leaders could not tell who needed help. We shifted to the one-page template. Within a week, the need help section surfaced a lab scheduling conflict that would have delayed 2 demos. The help card had 3 options and a constraint. The program lead made the call in 1 minute. The teams landed. Stress dropped because people saw decisions moving. A hardware team hid yield problems behind averages. We replaced adjectives with numbers and a yield ladder by station. The one number and the risk trend made it obvious where the bottleneck lived. The need help card asked for one of 3 actions. Move a skilled operator, add a quick fixture, slow upstream to reduce starvation. The fixture took 2 days. First pass yield moved 2 points the next week, then another 2. A platform team lived with a partner SDK hang for months. We wrote the risk as a trend with a clear trigger. 3 hangs by Wednesday noon. We added a soak to the pass gates. The trigger fired. The owner escalated with options. Replace the client now. Add back pressure and watchdogs and defer. Or land thin and push the change. The decider chose replace now with a short go-around. The hang class vanished. Friday incident stopped. An executive staff complained that weekly reviews were a waste of time. We replaced the slide deck with a 1-page brief. It had 3 decision cards. Each had options and impact. The meeting lasted 12 minutes. Decisions landed. The rest of the time was returned. The staff asked for the same shape every week. The program sped up because choices became explicit. We are going to land the episode with a compact checklist you can start this week. 1. Adopt the weekly stream template. Moved, blocked, need help. 1 number, 1 risk trend, next milestone, and pass gates. Post it in the same order every week. 2. Create a subsystem roll-up and a program roll-up with the same sections. Do not invent new metrics at the higher level. Carry up only decision cards that need the higher decider. 3. Publish the escalation ladder and the 48-hour decision service level. Teach people to write optioned asks with impact. Teach approvers to answer on time or post a deferral with a new date. 4. Pick 1 health number per stream. Pick 1 risk trend per stream with a trigger and an owner and a date. Stop tracking 10 numbers you do not act on. Start acting on the one you chose. 5. Split reporting by phase, concept and prototype. Weeks report, hypotheses and experiments and time to learn. EVT weeks report, verification at the lowest level and scenario coverage. DVT weeks report, evidence closeout and defect aging. PVT and production, weeks report yield, and CPK and change control and deviations. 6. Replace oral status meetings with writing first and meetings for decisions. If you cannot name a decision, cancel the meeting. 7. Insist that every milestone has pass gates written in the format. Done when X measured by Y observed in Z. Rehearse the pass gates. Post the evidence pack. Make truth cheap. 8. Hold the line on freeze windows. Use change notes for scope or date changes. Write go and no-go paragraphs for landings. Do not rely on memory when the last mile gets loud. 9. End every review with the Monday rule. What will be different on Monday because of this update? If the answer is nothing, reduce the ceremony next time. 10. Praise boring. When a team posts a 1-page status with a clear help card and lands on time, say thank you in public. Make calm the culture. Make numbers the language. Make decisions the outcome. Calm status is not about being quiet. It is about being clear. When people know exactly what moved, exactly what is blocked, exactly what help is needed, and exactly what the next pass gates are. They spend their energy building instead of decoding. Systems engineering gets to be the curator of truth, not the slide author of the week. Program management becomes the air traffic control that keeps landings safe and on time. Executives get to do the job only they can do: make trades, accept risks, protect freeze windows, provide air cover, and teams ship. If this helped, follow Built to Trust wherever you listen. Hit subscribe. Share it with a teammate who is tired of status theater and wants a way to get unblocked. Your ratings and reviews help more builders find the show and build with more truth and less drama. Next week is episode 11, Runbooks that actually run. We will turn procedures into code you can trust at 3 in the morning. You will get a one-page header with owner, last updated, last dry run, and an escalation ladder. You will learn the 3 p.m. rehearsal method so the steps work when people are tired. We will add guarded actions, call and response language, and clear rollback. We will measure runbook freshness, coverage, and time to recover. We will convert tribal knowledge into steps, and we will make those steps easy to find where work happens. I'm Shomo Data. Thanks for listening.